Okay, now I'm going in with my white gesso, and that's kind of mixing in with some of the blue, but I want to get that area up there to be much lighter. So it's kind of going in, there's three levels. There's the top part, which is much lighter, and then I have that middle area, which will be the turquoise and some of that quin gold red, and I'm going to be adding much more color in there. And then the bottom part is just that kind of vintagey, vintage papers, really kind of light, not a lot of paint. Just kind of scribbling in that gesso. But you can still see a texture with it. And then again, just wetting and mushing some of the paint in. So that there's paint on the surface, and then there's paint that just gets embedded into the piece, the substrate. Just moving the white around the piece. See how you just mush that in, and it just gives these little shadowy texture and color that I like. Just grays everything down. See how I'm getting that top half a lot lighter. And now going in with some dark, it's a Payne's gray. Green gold and some white. See, I'm moving some of that blue color up on the top, just a little bit, just to make it move, just some movement. It's just so much fun to play with color. I mean, this could just be almost, you could just make an abstract piece using this technique. You don't really need a figurative aspect to it. Now, those are Stabilo. I haven't used a Stabilo yet in this project, which is, I use it all the time. Very highly pigmented pencil. Great for marks, also then to use water, and it creates beautiful shadow colors along with great marks. So wanting to put some of that line work back into it that I did a long time ago with the paintbrush. Now I'm doing it with the Stabilo. So now this is where your fingernails are going to get really bad. I'm scraping with my fingernail, just scraping and tearing up some of the paper and the paint. I want that feeling of worn coming through. It gives a nice texture too. Okay, so I wanted to show you this part. I sanded everything, so even the scratching and the sanding all kind of brought it down and flattened it out a little bit and melded it together, embedded it together. So now what I want to do is I just want to cover this with a layer of, this is glaze gel.
And I'm just going to kind of give it a nice sheen to it. And then this will be another layer to this. So this has a gloss to it. It's not the matte, it's more gloss. Yeah, I want some of the colors to pop again. So this helps kind of bring that out. But the sanding is wonderful because it just gives this really wonderful deep texture. But then it just kind of flattens areas. It removes some areas. It removes some layers as well. Okay, so I'm going to have that nice layer. I'm just going to let that sit for a little bit and dry. And then I'm going to focus on, I want to add some more of the pinks and some of the blues. Like in the graffiti, I love those pinks and those blues. So I want to get, I do have the blues. I need to bring out more of the pinks. So I'm going to, that'll be the next thing. And what I kind of see here is, you know, she's actually coming through all this craziness, that she is actually becoming a centerpiece of this piece. I wasn't sure if she was just going to get, you know, covered up or not, but she seems to want to be there, so I'm giving her that. And so I kind of want to get a shadowing effect going on here to just push her out. It's kind of nice working with some of the paint with the this gloss. This is helping to blend a little bit, which I didn't have in mind, but this is so intuitive. I mean, it's been a while since I painted like this, just real intuitive. And just kind of letting things happen and letting the ugly layers happen, you know, and then taking a breath and then looking back, you know, then looking at it and then making some artistic decisions after that. Like I see this dark, and I want to add a little more of that in here. But this is starting to come out nicely. This darker area here. Yeah, this gloss medium is nice to do that. I mean, I don't think I have to go much darker than this being the dark area for the most part. And I like some of the line work I use with the Stabilo. I like having, I want some of that mark making to continue. I just dip my finger in the charcoal. And that seems to be a good effect. I don't know what would happen if I do Stabilo here. maybe Stabila down here. Okay, so I'm going to just let that sit for a while, and then I'll come back and do yet another layer. Okay, so yet another layer. And so instead of adding paint to kind of pull this together, I'm using some of my vintage papers. And I love this. It's a almanac. I got it, it's a French almanac that I got on eBay. And I just love it because the print is really tiny, and it's a nice color, patina color that I like. And so, so I have these here. So I'm just going to adhere these pieces. I know it's a wild and crazy process, but I have to say I'm having fun doing it. But there's, there's just leave room for spontaneity for sure, because that's how this kind of stuff works. So, but yeah, I was thinking, oh, I want to paint more, put this color, and I thought, no, I want to go back because I love the vintage paper look with paint. And so I want to bring that back. We had it several layers below when I started out. We had it. And now I'm just putting it back. And then I'll probably do little bits here and there because that's one of the things I love to do as well. And I probably won't do any painting on top of this because this is the layer that kind of pulls that all together and makes it, I mean, there's a lot going on regardless. Now I don't know if I want to do that because I love this and I love this showing. So maybe I don't need to do that. I definitely have to do this. I love the mark here, but it's just too distracting. So, oh well, it has to go. So I'm just going to cover that up. So it's just starting to calm down a little bit just with what I'm doing here. And just to have it. So there's some movement going on. Like the little bits here. It just creates movement. But see, where you may be on your piece, you may have it, you have your paint and you may not even need this layer. I'm just saying, for me, that's what I need. And I'm just covering this up because it was that I used the gloss and I want to cut that down. So I want the surface to be more matte. Okay, so then down here, also, this is kind of cool here. I may just have to need that little bit because that's coming through there. That's a little bit too much. For some reason, that doesn't look right. So I'm going to tear a bunch of it off. Maybe this corner thing just needs a little tiny corner. Maybe it doesn't need all of it. Just maybe to enclose it or not. I'm going to leave it open for now. I know what I might do. That kind of breaks it a little bit. Just a little bit there. Got to go a little further. And I'm going to put a little bit, a layer of the medium. That little bit, maybe it goes right there, yeah. See, it's already calmer, except I don't like this piece. There, just needed a little bit. See, that's the thing, you just tear a little bit off. I'm wondering if this needs a little more blending in up here. So it doesn't have that hard edge, but it's still, you still see the print. I'm just using gesso. And then down here, oops, there's more blue. Okay, that just softens that up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to just let this rest again overnight. And then I'm going to go in here and do some white, fine white touches here to kind of bring out her necklace, and just maybe some other stuff here to just so you really bring it into her face. And then I think I'm going to call her done. So anyways, I know it's a kind of a weird process, but it really, I think the graffiti more than anything else really inspired this piece with the coloring and everything too. I really like the blues and the pinks in the graffiti. So, and I didn't look at the pictures. I took them, and then doing this, I wasn't referring to any photos that I took. I just let my my visual memory kick in, and this is what I came up with. So anyways, hopefully tomorrow, when this is all dry, I can just go in there with some detail work and call this one done. Okay, so this piece is done, and I'm trying to think of all the things I've worked on since I last taped this, because I did have to go over some stuff. What I did here is I kind of embedded this bodice in with this background a little bit. So I have some of the blues going through here. I have some of the little kind of abstract flower going through here. And then I added just a little bit of detail for the necklace. I didn't want to get too detailed because it's very abstract. And then the other thing is there was like a real striping effect, and there still kind of is, but what I did is I just started bringing some of the blue down into these areas, and then up here so that it was blended a little bit more. So you have this like white area up here, and they have these the turquoise and the goldens with a little bit of the pink here. And then down here is more just vintage papers with a little bit of color and texture. And so, it was really fun to do this. And I think what I'm going to do, the next one I do, I'm going to do on a much bigger scale, because this technique really lends itself to something much bigger than the piece I worked on. But I wanted to have it in a format so I could film it easily. But I really liked the process, and it brought me back to, years ago, I worked real abstractly, just doing abstract backgrounds and then putting a figure in. And this way it was kind of like both together. And, you know, I can really see the graffiti influence that I looked at in Detroit a couple weeks ago. That really comes through in this piece. So it's just a fun process, and it's very intuitive, and it's not step by step necessarily. But the final stages, I just wanted to go through some of my thought process. And then there were some areas where it was kind of dull. The blues were kind of dull, so I used this, it's retarder, and it's kind of a glazing. I use it, you can work wet on wet, almost like you're working with oil. So the retarder mixed in and made like some nice glazes, so that you see some of these areas and they aren't, it's not flat, it's not matte. There's like a somewhat of a sheen to it. So it just kind of adds, it makes it pop a little bit more. Also, I found the quinacridone nickel azo gold really makes the blues pop. You know, so I just kind of went back and forth with the pinks and the quin gold with these blue colors, and making them work together. And then just, and as I said before, just kind of, instead of this being like this bodice, this figure, some of this background coming through here, and just melding into and embedding itself into the background. So I hope you enjoy this, and that you give it a shot, whatever direction you want to go. Just take that adornment prompt and go with it. Okay, so see you next time.